Welcome to Gospel Music USA, bringing you the best in Southern gospel music from coast to coast. Now here are your hosts of Gospel Music USA, Danny Jones, Karen Peck Gooch, and Mike Lefevre.
Hey everyone, welcome to Gospel Music USA, your home on the television for great Southern gospel music. My name is Danny Jones. I'm with the Singing News Magazine, and this is
Mike Lefevre with the Lefevre Quartet. Now, we do have one other host with us, and she'll be on in just a few minutes, but right now it's just us guys.
That's right. And listen, for the next few minutes, we are not going to let the facts get in the way of a good story. I promise you.
You're going to hear some good stories.
That's exactly right. Joining Mike and myself, we have two well-known personalities from the legends. That's the word I was looking for, from Southern gospel music. And if you have ever turned on a radio, went to a gospel concert, or perhaps even sang a song out of the hymnal in your church, you have probably run across the names Jerry Goff and Ronny Hinson. Yes. And no doubt about it, of course.
It's great to be on the program with y'all.
Yeah.
Great to be on the program with you.
You too, Dr. Goff. You too.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, I wish I could have written a lighthouse. I guarantee you. My goodness.
Well, even if you could have stolen it, it would have still been good, wouldn't it?
I'm telling you, we all are interested of that song. Boy, that was a dynamite powerhouse, and still is,
It really is.
And this right here sitting beside me is the guy that put it together.
That's right.
Yes, and I believe that's what made y'all.
This man he's so eloquent and all that, but he's humble. He has written some songs. I'm telling you, some gospel music standards that'll live on.
Well, we have really enjoyed. Of course, I've sung with y'all if we had fun together. But through the years, in the 60s and the 70s and the early 80s, along in there, we were chomping at the bit. It'd be Seminole one night and Waycross the next night. It was.
There was no telling where we were going to show up on a flatbed trailer in a field, or
That's true.
Yeah,
That's right.
but those were days, man. I'm
really
telling you.
And it was unbelievable. We went like as y'all were. Are we ready to talk yet, or what?
Go ahead. You've got it full throttle. Let's go.
We think about the Brumley thing out there in the rodeo arena. We'd have 10, 12,000 people, and we'd go to Seminole. They had 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people. We was at Waycross in their ball stadium down there, and it would probably have, I think we could safely say 6,000 to 7,000 people. That's, I know it's not big in country and pop sometimes, but that's big crowds in gospel.
They are big crowds. But I figured out with Waycross and Seminole and all that, people figured out they liked air conditioning.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? You are right.
Yes, sir.
You're absolutely right. You're right. That changed a lot of things.
A lot of things. But I know at that rodeo ground you were talking about, we always fought to come out of chute number 3.
Yeah.
Man, boy,
yeah, and I've seen it rain and mud be knee-deep out there. I saw James Blackwood one time take off his shoes and roll up his pants leg and sing out in the crowd in mud that deep.
And Brumley was that way, too. The Brumley sang.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, the rodeo ring. That's where that happened.
There was a Tupelo, Mississippi singing where the rodeo was about a week or two before the singing. And one night I wore a white suit.
Wow. Lesson learned that night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Since we're talking about all these different places, where is the most unusual place you've ever sang?
On a lift in a gas station, just like Hamill predicted.
All right.
True story. True story. Honeacre, Virginia. It got to raining so bad in the place where they were having this thing out in the field. And they moved it to where the singers got to stand in the gas station, and the rest stood in the parking lot out there, the people that were listening to the singing. Yeah, and they elevated the lift just high enough to where we could be above the crowd. And,
that was your stage?
That was our stage. Wow. On the lift. Promise.
Good. That's good.
All right, Jerry. You've got to have a similar story somewhere.
Well, I don't know. I didn't know you were going to ask this question, but probably it was in Gilmer, Texas, in a recently renovated chicken house where they raise chickens, and trust me, they hadn't got the smell out yet.
Wow.
And it was in Gilmer, Texas, in a chicken house. Those long chicken houses, and they're narrow, and they put us up, at the end. We used to call it when we was working in Nashville. We'd call it the M&M circuit, because you were either in the mud out in the racetrack or in the manure at the end of the cow barn. All right. And that's where we sang in these little county fairs. That's the truth. true.
Mud manure.
Yeah, the M&M circuit. I mean, that's true. That's what we called it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, back in a lot of people consider the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and even on up into the early 90s, the heyday of gospel music. And while there's some truth in that, I still think gospel music is still on the upswing overall. So we're going to put quotation marks around that phrase there. But, you know, both of you guys worked churches, civic auditoriums, every place imaginable.
That's right.
Where do you think it was probably the largest crowd you ever sang to at one time?
I would say Bonifay. For me.
That well could have been it.
Bonifay, Florida.
Because we were at the end here, and they had bleachers down this side and bleachers at the back, bleachers here, and then all the ball field. A total of the ball field would be covered with chairs, you know, and chicken baskets, and because we stayed all night, you know.
All night.
From sundown to sunup. And I guess that probably was one of the biggest. The biggest crowd we ever sang to was when we were invited to sing at the World Olympics. And they weren't drawn because it was gospel, but we got to sing to a little over 75,000.
Wow.
But, you know, that was... I want to be honest, we never drew that many, but that's the biggest crowd we sang to.
You were talking about
we drew all of Bonifay.
You mentioned Bonifay, Florida, and I remember this too, being out there. And Hinson's had a lot live band. Of course, everybody had live bands back then, and that was the smallest stage. You get all those instruments on that stage, and you had several groups, and you didn't have hardly any place to stand and sing left because that stage was small.
About the size of a milk truck with a side cut out.
That's what it was.
Exciting thing was to see a guy playing the guitar and the bass. You know, like they had great guitar in a wet pasture, and when it was raining and that electricity standing on that flatbed truck, and they'd miss standing on the wood and step on the metal, and the electricity would get them. You know,
that's how that got started.
They thought they were shouting in the crowd, but knocking them out. Yeah, that's true. Yes, sir. I remember those days.
My goodness.
Can I tell you a real quick story?
Yeah, I got another story too.
I got to tell you a real quick story about your wife and her group, Wendy Bagwell and the Sunliners. One night, you know, rattlesnakes was just as big as could be, and Wendy and the girls knew that.
Yeah, that was.
And so it was their heyday, boy. And so J.G. Whitfield, the old gospel man, was promoting it, and he's standing by a pole in the back of that little stage you're talking about, and he's got the list of people who are going to be on and what the lineup. And so I love to agitate him, you know. And so he's got Wendy going on late, and so Wendy knew he was drawing that bigger part of that crowd. You know, he had not only gospel people but secular people coming to hear that rattlesnakes because it had crossed every boundary. You know.
That's true.
So he's standing there, and Wendy walks up to him and says, "Whit," said, "there's no way I'm going on, you know, after 9 o'clock." And he said, "Well." He said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well," he said, "these girls are tired." He said, "and they're going to have to travel all the way to Oklahoma City tomorrow night." And he said, "and so there's no way." He knew he had power behind what he was saying, you know, because he drew the bigger part of that crowd. So Whit says, "I can't do that." He said, "I can't put you on." He said, "People are going to eat, and they're thinking they're going to go on a special time. I can't pull it back." He said, "Well, I'm just not going to go on, you know, after 9 o'clock." He said, "We got a long way to go, all night drive." And so finally Whit says, "Okay, Wendy." He said, "All right, I'll put you on earlier." And so in the middle of their set, man, they're just going at it. People are just going crazy. They're loving that rattlesnake story. And all of a sudden, I said, Whit, so Wendy, he's running this tonight, is he?
Oh.
And boy, that fired him up. And so pretty soon he stomps his feet, and the dust just flies everywhere. And he said, "That rascal said he's with me tomorrow night, 100 miles down the road."
Wow. You know, you got to have been there to fully understand. That is great. Yeah. You know, is it time for another story? No. You know, and he was there. Now, you know, it's probably funnier when you're there. Do you know what I mean? Because the memory of it to me, and he was there. But every year, years ago, J. Basil Mall had, of course, many singings, but his biggest thing was his Thanksgiving sing in the Coliseum. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And so that night, he had the Kingsmen, And the Inspirations had the Hinsons and the Goffs. Those are his 4 groups. That's normally his style. And so, of course, the Coliseum has no windows. It's just solid. And so I said to Brother Mull, I said, we'd like a spotlight. Well, Mull was tight as anything. He was tight as a bug on a tree, and he didn't want to spend money. Nah, I said it cost $100. I'm not spending $100. You can just use the footlights. I said, well, we'd really like. Nah, it won't cost this. I'm not paying. It's $100. So I went to the light man, and I said to the light man, I said, can you get us a spotlight? Is it too late? And he said, yeah, I can get one. I said, well, I'll be right back. So I went to Ron, and I said, will you pay your share of a spotlight? It's going to be, going to be 4 of us, $25 a piece. He said, yeah, that's fine. I'll pay my share. Went to Hamill. I said, will you pay? Yeah, I'll pay my share. I went to Martin Cook. I said, nah, we don't need a spotlight. I'm not paying $25. You know how Martin was. He was another tight one. Nah, I'm not paying any money. I said, all right. I said, so we're going to hire him. And he, so I told the spotlight man when he came in, I said, now, we've paid for it. I said, the Hinsons and the Goffs and the Kingsmen, we've paid for the spotlight. I said, now, the Inspirations, they didn't pay a thing, so when they come on, you can go take a break, go to the bathroom, get your bite to eat. He said, okay. So, we sang, and everybody was singing, and, of course, I enjoyed the spotlight. They enjoyed it. It was great going. Came time for the Inspirations to come on, and Martin had this great idea that he would start his program with all the lights off except the spotlight on Archie, singing Amazing Grace. Remember I used to start that a cappella, not even any music. So when they hear the Inspiration from Bryson City, and they marched out there, and he got all ready to sing, and all the lights went out, and the spotlight cut off, and in that dark auditorium, all you could see was a little red light on the guitar amp back at He sang the whole song in total darkness, I'll tell you. I'm telling you, that was a precious. Hamill and I were beating on the floor. We were laughing so much.
Martin, that's when you need grace the most, when it's the darkest.
I tell you what, Mike, if nothing else out of this day, I have learned that you and I need to go out in the parking lot and check our cars right now, because there's no telling what these 2 have done. But anyway, hey, here's the thing about it. Everybody travels so much during these days, and you have to have a little something to break the tension, and it's okay to be a little crazy once in a while, is it not?
That's true.
That's right. And what people don't understand is, even though there's a lot of practical jokes that have happened along the way, and even still today, there's a lot of characters out there. These folks are one big family. They're all out here for one common cause, and even though they may deliver the message in different styles and different ways, the goal is still the same.
That's right. I think everybody that sings a gospel song, especially if they've been there for any length of time, I think there have been, and I'm going to shoot honesty from the hip here, there are probably people that at first said, I'd like to do that as my career. But when they got in, gospel music's not an easy road. You'll sing to 2 or 3, 4, 5,000 one night. You may be in a church with 15, 20, and 50 the next night, So it balances out. But if you truly are called, if you're anointed to do it, you'll ride through the stumps and you'll ride through the low spots, and there'll be millions of people in heaven, because these guys, not only one, but God chooses different kinds. There are people who love the instruments. They love to hear the guitars. They love to hear the trumpet. They want to hear the organ. They want to hear the harmonies. All of them are working for one cause. And when you pull their shirt back and see on their heart, you'll see the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ there anointing them and saying, we're singing that lift the name of Jesus. That's Hallelujah. Right. About to have church again.
All right, folks. Karen and the ladies are coming back after the break, and you're watching Gospel Music USA. We'll see you shortly.
And you're watching Gospel Music USA, and what a great show today. Now, the guys have already talked. Now it's time for the ladies to talk. And now be sure you call someone and tell them to tune in today for Gospel Music USA. And Ann Downing and little Jan Buckner, Goff, thank y'all for joining us today on the show. And the guys, weren't those stories hilarious?
I know it. But they work hard at stories, because men are great storytellers.
Yes.
But women talk about the things that a lot of people really like.
We talk about the important things like clothes. Like, for one thing, okay, Jan, it would not be little Jan, if you did not have some kind of bling on. You are my hero.
Before before it was bling.
Oh,
she just
absolutely.
wore those sparkles. So
She always
I think
sparkles.
you and Jerry had to have sewn on more. You'd buy clothes on. I know people do that and put on more sequins.
More sequins.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
you always look so beautiful. And Jan and I were talking about your colors today and
These
how
are not my
pretty you
colors
look,
according to the
Ann.
chart, but
Yes, well, and we love the bright colors.
I like it because it's been between us, and it really brightens us up
Oh,
on
good.
the set.
It does. It stands out.
well, we did one of the Gaither videos, the Kennedy Center video in the Kennedy Center. Well, everybody dressed to the nines in their black satin and white sewed wraps and all those things. Yeah, and here I am. A much brighter color than this, right in the middle with all these people, I mean, all their fashionable things. And one lady came to me, she said, you know, on that Kennedy Center video, she said, you were brighter than everybody else, and I kept watching you. I thought at first, is that a good thing or not? But I thought it must have been.
Well, you know what? You didn't know you were doing it.
Well, I didn't, because I
That's
just
what
liked it.
makes
It was a
it
new
fun.
outfit I had, so I wore it. I didn't know to dress in black, but y'all, this is the thing.
Well, you know, one thing I want to say to you two ladies, I've been traveling really since, professionally since 1980, but you all started a little bit earlier than that. And I will say, notice how she just started laughing.
About
when I
50
said
years
that.
earlier.
And looked at me.
Well, you were out there about the time I was.
I was. Yes,
But, you
I
know-
remember when you came with the
Yeah,
Spears. Yes, I do.
Well, you ladies really paved the way for ladies in my generation. And when I say, seriously, now I'm not just saying this, but when I say that we look up to you ladies, that's the truth. And one thing is, let me ask you this. What do you think the role that women have today in the church? Do you think it's changed a lot over the years than when you started in this industry?
What do you think about
Well,
that,
I don't
Ann?
know. How honest do we be here?
We be honest.
I do think that it's that. I don't want to say, because if someone has true convictions that women aren't to be leaders in the church, then far be it from me to say you shouldn't. But I mean, I do think that we've probably gotten a little more understanding that through the entire scriptures, the Old Testament, I mean, Deborah was a judge. I mean, they're women in leadership always, but it's not to be like, I'm going to take control here. I will be heard. It's that thing of like, God, if you have a place for me, and they're wonderful. I think that we are more and thank God, I would have no ministry if I could not go into a church and sing and share, you know, about the role that God has in my life. So thank God, I think we are. And I grew up in a denomination that was more accepting of women.
Yes. Well, I've only been to the one church all my life, so I don't know a lot of differences because we've just, like you said, evolved. And there's just a lot of ladies in our church that are up front.
Right.
You know.
Don't you think that the ladies, I mean, we are the heart. We're the heart of our families. You know, our mother is the heart of our family. Mama's still living, and so we can honestly say that the women, we soften things up. Don't you think?
Well, and I don't think there are many male leaders who would argue that that's not true. I think they would say that probably there's a place for that, and there's a place that probably not for that. The heart, yes, but there are times that we have to kind of be we have to step out, and like, my husband's in heaven. I don't have a man to go before me up there and meet with the business part of things.
That's right.
And in church, it's me.
Well, now, but you were talking earlier before the show came on that Paul did a lot of your business when you were.
He did it all, and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't go in the office.
So
I
you
had
had
no
a
reason
crash
to.
course.
I did.
After he passed.
I did.
Of having to do everything. And did you find yourself, oh my goodness?
Well, I just didn't do that much.
Yeah.
I just kind of played it safe. I kind of called on the people I knew who would probably not say no.
Right.
And then I learned a few things about booking. I mean, I knew I could how to call up somebody and say, hey, I have a night off.
Can I come sing for you?
That's it. And you know, Jan, you also, I mean, you were married and had a baby girl. You had a daughter and you had to travel. How many days a year do you think y'all traveled?
I don't know. how many days? You guys were out there at the same time.
Oh, probably. We used to say something like 220 days a year.
That's true. We traveled a lot. And when the Snakes came on the scene, Wendy Bagwell and the Sunlighters.
Explain that.
Yeah. When the Snake Story came on for us, that was just a boost. Not only in Christian music, but in the country.
Yes,
which was
fairs.
It was a hit on country radio.
It was a hit on country radio, and we hit the fair circuit, which was, we didn't know any better. We were just having a ball.
Absolutely.
We had the best time.
People wanted to hear us. They wanted to come to you.
Absolutely.
But didn't you sell over 1 million?
We did, of the Rattlesnake Story. And, you know, a lot of people call it the Rattlesnake Song, but it was a story, as you guys know.
And it was hilarious.
It was.
I still hear some of those lines.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you think they want one?
That's it.
Or it's a fact with my hand up now.
That's it. And, you know, I could hear that story over and over. Because when I was with Rex Neeland, we worked with you all a lot. And I could hear that story every week and laugh. Oh, it was always funny. It was,
well, his timing was amazing.
It was. It was.
It was. And, you know, you think about it, I mean, we've learned from the Wendy Bagwells.
Yes,
I mean, we've learned. And I watch, you know, I watch the two of you as you stand and you minister to people. And, you know, your voices are so good.
Karen, you've done wonderful, though. You came in here like Ann was talking.
The big stuff.
She stepped into a role that is guys, and she started her own group when it came time for Karen Peck.
Women were not starting groups.
And I know you have some issues about that back when, but you know your dad just told you to get up there and do your thing, and
well,
I know that story.
I remember saying, Daddy was in the hospital, and we had started New River, and Dad had found out that he was having health issues, and he was sitting on the hospital bed, and I was sitting in the floor because Mama was in the chair. He said, now listen, from now on, you need to start doing the MC work, because I was getting all the guys, you know, to do the talk, and I would give my testimony when we started New River, but I'd let the guys talk, and then Daddy said, you need to step out on that stage, and you need to start doing the MC work.
And if Daddy said it, that was good enough.
And he passed away days later, but I said, Daddy, I'm blonde, and I talk on a high C, and I'm a woman, and nobody will listen to me. And so, but I took his advice.
Well, hi, y'all. Everybody's going to sit up and go, well, isn't she the sweetest thing I've ever heard?
I remember one time you came to me when we did the background vocals for a Gaither thing, and you said, are you for real? Like, are you always this way? Are you always silly like this?
No, and I think I said, are you always sweet and kind to everybody?
And I would say, well, not always. I mean, you know. But
she has her moments down.
I go, can you not just frown once or something?
And I can do that. It takes a while to get me there, but once I'm there, it's, oh, Katie, bar the door. But let me ask you this, ladies. I know that the listeners at home would love to know this. Do you have an embarrassing moment?
Oh, my goodness. You know, one in Vidalia, Georgia. It's not on me. It's Geraldine.
Go good. She's in heaven. She's laughing.
And there you go. But we walked on at Vidalia, Georgia, and they said, the promoter said, don't go on with these long dresses on because we can't get you out there without the mud. So I said, okay, we got it, and we put on short dresses. Well, we went on to sing and everything. And when we got through with that first song, a little lady came up, she hollered for me to come to the, yes.
I hear it coming. I know
and Geraldine had not switched slips.
Oh, no.
She did not.
Oh, no.
And I turned around and looked behind me, and I said, thank you so much. And, of course, I just stood up and kind of walked her off because Wendy was just jabbering. And I said, take off your slip. It's hanging way down. I think it was a red slip.
Oh, my God.
I bet you laughed the whole time, the rest of the night.
The rest of the night, it was a good night.
Did Wendy ever know?
Wendy never knew what had happened. He was in his own thing, you know.
Yeah.
He would have made that part of your show had he had known.
He probably would have done a record and sold a million copies.
He really would have. Now, do you have...
Well, I've got one similar. Back in the days of if anybody's watching who still remembers these days, we didn't always wear pantyhose. We used to wear stockings.
Oh, yes.
With girdles,
Okay.
or am I telling too much here?
No, Wes, you're
Or those garter belts. I'm really not now. Well, I always kept an extra stocking in my purse in case you got to run. Back then, if you got to run, that was a shame.
Oh,
nobody saw it. And so I always kept an extra one in my purse.
Yes.
In case during the concert I need to go change. Well, I also bit my fingernails.
Oh, my.
And you know, when you bite your nails, you have hangnails and whatever.
Right.
So they were the Spear family. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here they are, the Spear family. And of course, I usually opened up playing the piano and Ben singing, then he would play and I would sing. And so we walk out there, and I'm just walking, just, you know, because I reached in to get a Kleenex out of my purse just before I walked out. So I reached in and got a Kleenex. Little did I know that trailing behind me was that stocking also. No. So I'm walking out, and I noticed the crowd just went, and I'm going, well, that's different. And then the Oak Ridge boys were on the program with us. And you think they ever let me live that down? So,
hey, listen, we've got more where that came from. Hey, stay tuned. Gospel music.
We are certainly thrilled that you have chosen to spend your day with us here on Gospel Music USA. We've had a wonderful time with this cast of characters, and we look forward to seeing you here again. Remember, Gospel Music USA.